Hello there, and welcome to the Fish Tank Barn. Today I'd like to review a new product from the Aquarium Co-Op, the Easy Aquarium Shrimp and Snail Shells. This product basically works like a wonder shell, providing calcium into the aquarium, which is beneficial for invertebrates like shrimp or snails. There's also spirulina added, which is a great food source for these invertebrates. So let's go ahead and dive in and check out the Easy Shrimp and Snail Shells. Before we head into the fish barn to check this product out, let's go ahead and head to the Aquarium Co-op website and learn more about these shells. As you can see, this product retails for $3.49 for a 4-pack, which I think is a pretty competitive price. Looking further into the description, you can see a couple things that we mentioned earlier, showing that this product dissolves and allows calcium and other minerals into the water, as well as the addition of spirulina as a food source for the invertebrates. The instructions for this product are quite simple. You just place this product in your aquarium and allow it to dissolve, keeping an eye on your hardness levels with either a test kit or test strips. You can also see the ingredients list as well as the guaranteed analysis, since it does have a food item with the spirulina. Now that we've learned a little bit more about these shells, let's head into the barn and do a little bit of testing. Now that we've made it into the barn, I've chosen this 20-gallon tank as a tank to do some testing on. This tank is home to some stack gunlers, cherry shrimp, and quite a few snails. I think the combination of both the shrimp and the snails in this tank will make it a great tank to test. The first thing I'd like to do is do a baseline test with a brand new pack of Aquarium Co-op test strips. I want to particularly focus on the GH and KH and see what changes happen by adding the shells. I went ahead and ran the test, and as you can see, the GH, which is purple, is running somewhere between 150 to 300 parts per million. The KH, which is the green pad, is somewhere between 120 to 180 parts per million. Both of these numbers are typical from tests that I've done in the past. The pH was in the 7.6 to 7.8 range, which is also typical for my fish room. We're going to go ahead and put our shell in and see what happens. And as you can see, as it landed, it started bubbling and started to dissolve. I typically see this when I add a coral rock to my fish tanks when I set them up. It seems like a pretty similar reaction. It's only been a couple minutes or so, and you can already see the cherry shrimp start to climb on the shell, which is a lot quicker than I thought it would be. I thought it would take the shrimp a little bit more time. I stuck around for a couple of minutes and watched the shell, and I thought it was pretty interesting to find that the anglers were picking at the shell as well. We'll circle back in a couple of hours and see how things are going. It's now a couple of hours later, and you can see that the snails have completely taken over the shell. I think for the moment, the shrimp no longer have a chance to get any food. I went ahead and did another test, and I really didn't see much change. The purple on the GH might be a little bit higher, moving more towards the 300 parts per million level, but the pH and KH really didn't seem to change much. I'll go ahead and put the clip of the prior test here, so you can see if there's any difference. I'll go ahead and check back in tomorrow, and we can see if the snail shell is still there, and if it is, we'll go ahead and do another test. It's the next day, and we're back in the fish room. The shell's been in the tank now for about 20 hours, and thankfully, you can see it's still there. The snails have left the shell now, and now there's a cherry shrimp on it. I went ahead and ran another water test, and it's about the same as the test that we did at the 2-hour mark. The GH is pushing more towards the 300 level, and the KH is still in the 120 to 180 range. The pH is unchanged as well. I'm going to go ahead and check it again in a few days, or I'll check back in if the shell completely disappears. It's now 4 days later, and you can definitely see that the shell has decreased in size. I've been watching the shell when I've been coming into the barn, and it's still getting visited from time to time from both the snails and shrimp. It's not to the level that it was when I first put the shell in, but it's still getting some attention. I went ahead and did another test, and as you can see, the GH is solidly in the 300 parts per million range, and the KH is still hanging out in that 120 to 180 ppm range. So far from where we started, this was kind of the results that I was expecting. It's now been about 9 days, and the shell is pretty well gone. In this clip, you can still see that there's a snail eating this shell. I think 9 days is a pretty good run for this shell, considering the number of shrimp and snails in this tank. I did go ahead and run another test, and it appears that the shell pushed the GH over the 300 parts per million level. It just looks a little bit more purple than it has in the past. So this is definitely pretty good evidence that the shell did add some calcium to my water as it was in the tank. So let's go ahead and talk about my final thoughts. I decided to put my initial test and final test side by side, and I definitely think this is a game of how purple is purple. But I definitely do think it's more purple on the final test. One thing to keep in mind with this is that GH is a measure of both calcium and magnesium, but I did confirm online that my city water does contain calcium. With all this being said, I really do think this is a really good product. The shrimp and snails really seemed to go for this product and really enjoyed the food, which I think makes this product the winner. It didn't take more than a couple of minutes for the shrimp to find the shell and start eating it as soon as I dropped it in. The price point for this product is $3.49 for a 4-pack, which I think is a great value for your money. I definitely do believe this is a great product for putting calcium in your tank, as well as providing additional food for your shrimp and snails. This product will be extremely beneficial, especially if you have soft water. At the end here, I will go ahead and put a playlist for my other product review videos, as well as a link to my last fish room tour. So as always, thank you for watching, stay safe, stay fishy, and I'll catch you on the next video.